Why don't homeless people just buy a house? That's rude as hell. What would you do if you were homeless? I'd buy a house. What if your phobias are based off how you died in a past life? Homophobes. What happens if you plug 100 chargers in a phone? Kaboom. Yes, Rico, kaboom. What if Gen Z decided to not have any kids and end civilization? Gen Z is the last letter of the alphabet for a reason. What if life had loading screens? You walk into Walmart and it's just like, objective, purchase soap for grandma. Tip, you can consume food to extend your life. What if you were never loved? What do you mean, what if? What if nobody was president and we all promised really hard to just be cool? If you're outdoors in these temperatures, you need to be primarily drinking water. Not Red Bull, not iced coffee, not that purple stuff all over TikTok. Water. What if you're built different? You're not. What if slugs are just divorced snails? Yeah, Michelle took the house. Do slugs and snails get along? Oh, whoa. I feel like they would have beef. If I offered you $100,000 to jump from a plane without a parachute, would you do it? No, I wouldn't. I bet you would say no. But what if I told you that the plane was in the ground? Moral of the story, know all the facts before you open your mouth. I would jump for free if the plane was in the air. What would happen if Dom killed John Wick's dog? And if John Wick killed Dom's family? I think John Wick would win because Dom without family is not Dom. He's no one. This is a fridge. You put your stuff in the gel and it keeps it cool. Then you just reach in and take it out. The gel automatically reforms. What happens if someone falls in? They freeze and 1,000 years passes, and if they fall out, they get a cyclops for a girlfriend. What would happen if I hired 2 private investigators to follow each other? They'd catch on pretty quick, unless they're both lying about being investigators. What if it was only a dream? Goodbye, French people. Go to Reddit. What if not safe for work ads weren't fake, and all these years I've been missing out on a Lexus and other local mums that wanted to get with me in my area? I would start crashing out and I would start breaking everything in my room. Fact of the day, the reason why you can't dig a hole through the earth and come up on the other side is because your shovel would melt. That's it. That's the only reason. What if you bring a second shovel that you put in the fridge beforehand to make it cold? Yeah, that'll work. Nuke a city. What if we nuke a city? Japan. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. What if babies had baby eyes that fell out and grew back like baby teeth? Still waiting for my baby pee-pee to fall off so my adult one can grow in. It's never happening, David. Never. If the nukes fly, can it be in the morning? I don't want to work all day and then just come home to nukes. What if we detonated all nuclear bombs at once? So basically, the server would lag so much that everyone is kicked out, except for a few billionaires who actually planned the whole thing and they're now living in a bunker. What if mayonnaise came in cans? That would suck because you can't microwave metal. Good morning to everyone except these 2 people. What if you wanted to open a kitchen drawer, but God said, no, you're not allowed? The Mediterranean Sea fits perfectly inside Australia. Australia, do this. If this happened, it would drown nearly 5 people. If you got offered $1 million, but it meant that every traffic light you approach will be red, would you take it? Why or why not? If you charge by the minute, you could actually use it to make extra money as a taxi driver. Therapist, you're a nice person. Friends, you're a nice person. Family, you're a nice person. Yeah, but what if I'm actually awful? Oh no, I tricked so many people into thinking I'm nice. That's just how bad I am. This post is very loud. What if Aladdin always looked like that? What if the solution to world hunger is eating? That's rude as hell. What if you were a starving kid? I'd eat. Well, boys, we did it. Starvation is no more. What if we rhyme crazy with baby? Crazy baby. What if we broke the cycle of violence and got brunch together? What if we continued the cycle of violence and got brunch together? Nothing like getting brunch passive aggressively. What if you are a morning person, but you're just in the wrong time zone? And that still makes me a morning person and a nighttime person. Maybe I'm just a person everywhere all at once. Bro, why is my professor a cat? I went to school for 7 years to get this job. Maybe if you didn't come to class late with a Starbucks cup every day, you would know Valentina. What if UFOs are just billionaires from other planets? Then, I mean, what can we do? What if you could just record silence and then play it on loudspeakers on full blast to make the room quiet? What if computers were beautiful? What if toasters could feel the entire range of complex human emotion? What if Roombas could smoke cigarettes? They would get no work done then if they could smoke cigarettes. What if the coins you find randomly at the bottom of drawers and in between couch cushions are actually from spiders trying to pay rent? What if the Big Bang wasn't an explosion of a small star in a big galaxy, and we're just micro beings thinking it was the start of the universe. Isn't there also another theory that we're just in a time continuous loop and this has happened before? What if it was just a Rickroll and Rick gets his revenge for being Rickrolled himself? I'd love to get Rickrolled in real life by him. If Mike Wazowski's chin is also his crutch, then if he grew out a beard, it would count as his pew. Do you think society should limit what is acceptable to think? Once we get those brain chips in, I'm sure they'll do something like that. If you were the opposite sex for one day, what would you do? I would get with my friend Hassan, because if I won't do that, he'll definitely die a virgin. Oh, Hassan, that guy, the person who's not very nice to his dog. Don't give him that chance, Ali. Come on. Give me that chance. God damn it. What if one day you just suddenly turned into an almond and you couldn't scream or do anything about it because you were just an almond? Are you okay? I wouldn't like to be eaten. Never loved? What if you were never loved? What's going on? I'm in this photo and I don't like it. Ender pearls are clearly not the Enderman's eyes. They are the wrong color. What if they are their testicles? That would explain why you don't get an Ender pearl every time. That was an Ender woman. This is why... Wait, Judge. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? No. What do I do? Power move of the century. I looked this up because I wanted to know if you could, and you can technically, but then you're instantly guilty of contempt of court and go directly to jail. Trial speedrun. Sal would do this as a joke, guys. Come on. Full send it. A child ripped up their allowance because he wasn't happy with the amount. His mum walked out of her room and saw this. What would you do if this was your child's behavior? Keep it and give him a piece of it anytime he asks for more money. I would punish him by making him stay outside in the cold for at least a week with no food. Girl at a party asked to see my YouTube recommendations because it's a good test for red flags. And this was the first recommendation I had. What if Big Bird exploded in the Challenger disaster? Why are you so quiet? What's on your mind? Me? What will happen if I call my own number? Okay, I am going to try this right now because this is a good question. Oh, okay, I just went straight to voicemail. What if instead of a period, you just randomly laid an egg, regular chicken size? There are free mental courses online. Please take care of all of them. And then they'd have to look after the egg and a child came out of it. That'd be so weird. If you were a kid from the 90s, you know exactly what these smell like, what the texture is like inside, and you may even know what they taste like. How do I explain the texture of this? You can bite through these very easily and it kind of it doesn't crumble, but it's not a clean bite. It's a bit, not gristly, but those who have done this will understand what I'm trying to describe. What if the G in GIF is silent? The hell to sloop. What if I don't want to? Screw off. What if every country has ninjas, but we only know about Japan's ninjas because they are so bad at being ninjas? He's out of line, but he's right. Yeah, but they're not called ninjas anymore. They're called spies. Every country has them. What if? Finally, we're home. Hope the monkeys didn't touch anything. The world, if two suns are present in our solar system. Woo, pa. What if ghosts can't see us either and they're scared as hell because who the hell is making pizza bagels at 2 a.m? What if we're ghosts right now? Why can the police never figure out who the murder was? Just ask the person who died. Is it really that hard? If you bite it and you die, it's poisonous. If it bites you and you die, it's venomous. What if it bites me and it dies? That means you're poisonous. Jesus, learn to read, Nate. What if it bites itself and I die? It's voodoo. What if it bites me and someone else dies? That's correlation, not causation. What if we bite each other and neither of us die? That's kinky. What if advanced aliens haven't contacted us because we're one of the last primitive planets in the universe and they're preserving us like we do the indigenous people? Or maybe we're quarantined or they're protecting us from something? How would history change if there was a giant disembodied hand that zooms around the planet and crushes one random person with its index finger every day? It's called the hand and it's always slightly faster than you. I'm sure we as humans would find a way to kill it like we do with everything. What if there were two lesbians, both named Karen, and they got a divorce? Who would get the kids? They would fight to the death. The winner would be able to keep the kids. What? What if dinosaurs created humans and left Earth? Stay right where you are. What if I'm actually attractive and girls think I'm out of their league? You'd be lying to yourself. What if zombies were real? Normal people? Oh no. Otakus? Bruh. Gamer? Grilling? What the hell is this? What if someone's reading my mind right now? What if God was one of us? That sign in the back says meme AIDS. Never realized that. This is not my first time seeing this meme either. What if there's multiple yous living in an alternative alternate dimension, and your dreams are you viewing what your other selves are doing. I would try and communicate with them. What if we use 100% of our brain? I do this when I go to bed. If I'm in bed and I've got my laptop with me, I will do this. I guess I'm using 100% of my brain. But then you find your laptop screen on the floor cracked? Yeah. If a Minecraft world is infinite, how does the world get around it? What if Kirby wore lipstick? Gorgeous. Yeah, Kirby, you're not supposed to eat it, you know? Me. What happens if I forcibly bend this thing? Breaks. Me. Pencils, rulers, nearly my neck. Girls' bathroom. You're beautiful. No, you. What if, bear with me, you are both beautiful. Boys' bathroom. Let's play a game. God creating tigers. What if an animal had every advantage imaginable? God creating guinea pigs. What if it had none? What would happen if men were in charge of strollers? We'd get stuff like this. What if I don't want a healthy relationship? What if I want to stay unhealthily attached? What if all humans die and this is the only footage that proved we existed? What if the reason you haven't found your soulmate is because you have no soul? Imagine if you taught a bunch of mockingbirds or whatever to imitate dubstep and then release them into the wild. People camping at night in their tents, listening to the sound of nature, and then the bass drops. We can basically get a bunch of mockingbirds in different countries and teach them different forms of music. One plays jazz, one dubstep, one pop. It'd be great. If a deaf person loses a finger, they would have a speech impediment, I guess. What if the earth split in half? April, write that. I don't get this one. Harvard. You need A+ grades in all AP classes in high school to get in. Some random kid. What if I threw this ball into a basket? Harvard, you're in. I hate how you're born out of nowhere, forced to go to school and get a job. What if I wanted to be a duck? I mean, you can always buy a duck costume and go in a park and roleplay. What if we used 100% of our brain? We would do this. Being a quiet, well-behaved child. Being the smartest kid in the school and both ending up being depressed at 21. You never really had a choice. What if we're all characters in a book? What if when you forget something, you were going to say, it's the author backspacing? Guys, why isn't everyone reblogging? This is a scientific breakthrough. If I take a pill and my mood improves, is it revealing the real me or creating a fake me? It's just a part of you. What happens if you photocopy a mirror? I actually don't know. What happens if you dodge the army draft? I can see you, idiot. Me, my FBI agent. What if I am the pet and my human is the owner? I think we're actually pets to our animals because we are their slaves. What if instead of Fortnite, it was called Freak Night, and instead of eliminating people, you would just have twerk-offs to decide the winner of the fight? I'd play the game again. What if Disney princesses were men? I'll save you, bro. No homo. Mwah. Did you say no homo? Of course I did. What if I told you, wait, did you just take both pills? What if Mark Zuckerberg is AI? Only recently he's been doing this like revamp of his character. This dude is straight up a robot. Hello, Meta. This is the new Meta glasses, which let you see through humans. I've actually had this installed in my brain for the last 1,000 years. Now is the time for where you guys can use it. No thanks, I'm good. Wanna buy my music? What if I put grooves on this hydrocarbon-based disc that can only be read by a small needle? Yo! What if we held hands on the Wii menu? What if we used 100% of our brain? Does marker come off a laptop screen? What if Bing is just a guy in his office googling stuff for you and doing his best? What if toys had feelings? Rats, cars, feelings had feelings. Italians. Swimmers, just before the surface tension is broken. What if water just don't let you out one day? Okay, I'm on stuff, but this seems like a good idea. What if there was an app that both you and your partner have where you could both swipe right or left on movies that are on your streaming services, and when you find a match, it lets you know? I'd rather waste like 2 hours looking for a good movie and then not find one and just be like, I don't want to watch a movie anymore. Seems way better. Marvel fans waiting for what if. My brain before going through airport security. What if I accidentally have a gun? What if it's raining men and let the bodies hit the floor are the same event from a different perspective? What kind of stuff are you on? Okay, what if I put a little curl in it like this? My goodness, Pa, where did Clark go? Well, paint me green and call me a pickle. Excuse me, young man, I love how old people have these sayings. What happens if a student dies during an exam? If someone dies during an exam, all the other students present pass. If a university burns down or is destroyed, all current students immediately graduate with a bachelor's degree. A student who gets hit by a campus shuttle bus will receive free tuition. Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Free tuition for getting hit? Not bad, not bad. As long as your bones are strong. Wear a helmet. You could stage this, guys. This is not fraud, though. This is just, we're being risk takers doing this. What if I told you that the dogs are free at the park? What? You can just take them if you want. In the UK, you actually can't. In the UK, you can't do anything anymore. Me looking at a knife. What if you stab yourself? Me. Shut up! I don't get like this with knives or any of that, but I get it quite badly when I'm on a building with a massive ledge. I'm not kidding. It's crazy. crazy. I think it's called off the void. I don't get like that with anything else though. Knives, hell no. Seeing a really nice view on a balcony. Jeez, man. A teacher battling cancer ran out of sick days, so school employees showered him with theirs. What if, hear me out, we didn't have a system that required a person battling cancer to rely on the generosity of their colleagues for sick days? What if I accidentally ended up in your trash tonight? Just kidding, unless. I don't mind a raccoon in my trash. It's cute. I'd probably give you some food instead. Then I'd take you in, then you'd be a pet, and then we'd be family. What if at the end of your long life, after you've drawn out your last breath and phased out of reality, the next thing you see is this message: you can now play as Luigi. I guess I'm gonna be Luigi because it doesn't even give me an option to say no. Wouldn't be too bad. Actually, Luigi has a pretty tough life.